What's up guys, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be about this. Not the head, which is an Under Armour Assert, which is a women's head, but the pocket, which is the centerpiece designator, would be an Under Armour Illusion centerpiece, where the basic Illusion has basically basic, but it has a ladder centerpiece, so it's perfectly symmetrical as long as you do the side symmetrical. Now this is going to be a little bit of a longer video because of the fact that I go full on, pretty much in depth, step by step how to do an Illusion pocket, if that's how you guys or you girls that follow want to string one up. Now this is probably one of my more favorite centerpieces, just because it allows a little bit of break-in to where, as you can see, there is a little bit of bending or warping to the ladder itself, so it bends out. So it's actually built to withstand a little bit of expansion. But so to start off, what I end up doing in the video is showing you how to do the top string, and this is really just for Under Armour heads, and a couple of De Beer ones also do this sort of method where it comes from one side of the head to the other to hold the leathers or runners and then the centerpiece in place. So I go through with the top string, then I show you guys how to do the bottoms. Basically, I am showing you guys how to do it from flat to pushed out. So I do the entire stringing flat, except for the shooters, really, and then I push out the pocket, pound it in, and then it's ready to go. But so I go from tying off the bottoms from it being straight, then I move into doing the center areas with the cross lace. Now, what you have to understand with girls' sticks, at least from my experience so far dealing with quite a number of girl sticks, is that you don't want these two center areas to be extremely tight. You want there to be a little bit of looseness to the strings so that there's no over tensioning, so it's nice and even, and then when you actually break in the pocket a little bit, it develops into the pocket. Like, you can't, I mean, this isn't one of the ones that you really get a channel from, but you can, depending on how you string it. But if you string flat, you're not usually going to get a substantial channel in the pocket. But so, moving from the center area, I go all the way down to the bottom, show you how to tie off that. And the thing is, guys, that when you're looking at these, and I pointed out in the tutorial part, is that you want to make sure that your interlocks are very symmetrical on both sides. You want them to be even, you want them to be in the same exact placements, otherwise you're going to end up with a product that the girl or coach or whoever's using it isn't going to be able to use it, and then you pretty much did all that work for nothing. But so I move from the center area to the outside area, which is where I end up starting to create the casting points, which I point out in the video, in the tutorial part, that you want this casting point pretty much the same size, if not same relative placement, as where this area is. So this area here is pretty much symmetrical to this area, or parallel to this area, and then as you can see, the interlocks here and here are parallel. They fall in almost the same exact spot, especially after you push it out. So I go down and show you guys how to do a relatively basic sidewall. And the thing is, few of this Under Armour heads are going to have multiple holes, and then you're going to have heads that have holes much like guys' heads, where they're spaced pretty well, but you have to pay attention, and I pointed out as to how and why. And then I show you guys that how to do the shooters, very basic shooters. This isn't something super advanced or crazy or anything. It's just very simple weaving through the pocket to create the shooting setup. Now, when you're stringing a girl's pocket, you have to remember that, you have to remember that they can only have technically two shooters, and the U or V shooter cannot actually go above the straight. So sometimes you'll see guy sticks where the U or V goes up and over top of a straight one and then comes back down. You're not allowed to do that in girls, so you have to be careful with that. When you're making the diamonds also, you want to make sure it's 8 to 12 diamonds. Usually your safe bet is 9, sometimes 10, but you also remember the diamond count, it has the same application as if it was a guy's pocket, where the less diamonds, the more hold that it's going to create, as well as, depending on the centerpiece, which you really shouldn't and can't do with this centerpiece, is creating a spacing to where the ball will sit in the sweet spot. So the same sweet spot as if it was a guy's stick, to where the ball sits right here when they're trying to pass, shoot, catch, all that stuff. You can create the same sort of thing in a girl's pocket. Just depends on the centerpiece, or depends on if you do a regular traditional or not, which I'm going to get into as well later on. But so you want to make sure you do your straight and then your U. Also, when you're doing your shooters, you have to be really careful, because there can only be 2 twists in between each runner. So basically, your leather, this strip here is a runner, this strip here is a runner, and then this leather. So you have to remember, you can only have 2 twists, So I have 1, 2 twists in between each runner. So that's one of the rules that they have as well. That applies to your U/V shooter as well, so you have to pay attention to that. As you can see, I only do 2 twists in any, at most 2 twists in any spacing. So you have to be very careful with that. And then there's not really a whole lot of difference as far as stringing is concerned. But when you have the ball's over there. But when you have the ball, if you're gonna check for legality, and I go over this in the book and tutorial as well, is that the top of the ball has to be seen over the top of the rail, along this entire contour of this rail. So it can't go below the top of this, whereas the guys, the ball can't be, you can't see over top of the ball in below the bottom rail, so you have to be careful with that. That's, even when it breaks in, that's one of the big things that a lot of girls have a problem with, is a illegally deep pocket. Like, sometimes you'll have a lot of guys that have an issue with it, but you see a lot more of it being the girls that have the problem, and that's why a lot of the girls end up having tennis rackets, because they don't want to have to deal with that. And then that takes away from their performance, because they don't have a relatively deep pocket in order to get the best out of their stick. And a lot of girls' sticks have the technology in it to where if you string it correctly, it's going to have a really nice flowing pocket, and it's going to have a lot of hold. It's going to perform amazingly well. So hopefully you guys get something from this tutorial. If you're going to be stringing up the Illusions centerpiece, this is going to be a great helpful tool, so look a lot like this Maryland theme one that I did for the store. So thanks guys, enjoy the video.
I know you're a monster.